Live in the human paradise. Breathe the pure air of heaven. Longevity, vitality, and a lifetime of bliss.
住在人间小天堂，呼吸天堂纯气，延寿长生，幸福一生。
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to take on something that's probably in your home right now, the air purifier, and ask a, well, pretty uncomfortable question. Is the one that looks clean actually doing its job?
We're going to put the household champion, the standard HEPA filter, through what our source material calls a 7-day judgment.
And it's a fascinating source. It argues that the very thing we all trust for clean air, it might have a fatal flaw that makes it stop working way, way sooner than any of us think.
Yeah, the source for this is called the 7-Day Trial at HEPA, the confrontation between true and false purification. It's by Fuchi Wu and DAGE, and their mission is pretty simple. Find what genuine purification actually looks like.
And what I love about their approach, their whole philosophy, is how they do it.
Right. They completely reject this idea that you need a lab and, millions of dollars in equipment to find the truth.
They just say real science only needs an honest pair of eyes.
Exactly. This 7-day trial is designed so that any family, anyone who's curious, could actually do it at home.
That spirit of accessible science is so refreshing. Bringing the challenge right into your living room. It just cuts through all the marketing noise, all the complex certifications.
It really does. It's all about performance, what actually works.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If we're going to run a serious head-to-head comparison, what were the exact conditions for this experiment? You can't just stick them next to the TV and hope for the best.
No, the environment was absolutely critical. They chose the home living room on purpose.
Because that's where life happens.
That's it, exactly. It's an open, high-activity area where you find the most, let's say, authentic mix of particles. You've got cooking aerosols, skin flakes, pet dander, stuff tracked in from outside.
Yeah.
It's the real-world test chamber.
Right. And for this test, we have two competitors in the ring. Tell us about the incumbent, the one most of us probably have.
So on one side, you have what's basically the gold standard, a brand new HEPA Purifier. It's rated at a high H12 or H13 grade.
And for anyone who doesn't know, H13 that's the good stuff, right?
Yeah, it is. It means it's theoretically designed to capture 99.97% of airborne particles down to 0.3 microns. That's the benchmark for quality that everyone looks for.
The one we assume is getting the job done. Okay,
Yeah.
And the challenger?
The challenger is something called an Air 8.0 Maze Purifier, and it uses a completely different technology, a maze electrostatic cotton.
Electrostatic, so it's not just a physical filter.
Exactly. It's a system that relies on active electrical charge to attract particles rather than just passively straining them out of the air like a HEPA filter does.
A physical barrier versus an active magnet? Sort of. Okay, so how did they set them up to make sure it was a fair fight?
Symmetry was key. They placed the two machines on opposite sides of the living room, facing each other, about 3 meters apart.
So they're both breathing the exact same air.
The exact same polluted, dynamic environment. A truly fair comparison.
But what about airflow? Fan speed is a huge variable. How did they make sure one wasn't just pushing more air than the other?
Well, this is where that honest pair of eyes philosophy comes in. They kept it simple and verifiable. Both were on medium speed, and then they adjusted the airflow manually to be similar.
Manually? How?
Using really analog checks, either what they called the hand-back wind feel, or by watching a paper strip swing over the output vent.
I love that. It reinforces the whole idea of trusting what you can observe for yourself.
It does. So with all the parameters set, the trial began. The machines had to run at the same time, continuously, for the whole 7 days, non-stop.
That's intense. But that continuous use is what really shows you the impact of a real home, right?
Precisely. 7 days of non-stop work in a busy living room. That's where the marketing promises have to face reality.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. Following the 7-day judgment, what did a simple visual check actually reveal? What happened when they finally opened them up?
The source material uses the word shocking to describe the contrast between the two filters after just 1 week.
Okay, let's start with the HEPA filter, the one that's supposed to capture, practically everything. What did that H13 filter look like?
It looked perfect. Pristine. It was white and clean, looked as new. It seemed like it had barely been used at all. It just projected this image of effortless, super efficient purification.
So my first thought, anyone's first thought, would be, wow, this thing is amazing. It's so good. The filter is still spotless.
That would be the immediate logical conclusion. It looks clean, so it must be working great.
Now, what about the maize electrostatic cotton, the Challenger?
That was the complete opposite. The maize cotton was visibly, dramatically changed.
How so?
It's distinctly gray, almost black in some spots. And they noted it actually felt heavier when you picked it up. It looked, to be blunt, filthy.
So we have a paradox. The filter that looks pure and clean is the HEPA. The one that looks dirty and saturated is the Challenger. If you just showed them to me, I'd say the black one is obviously failing.
And that, according to the source, is the exact cognitive trap we all fall into. They argue that this surface-level conclusion that the clean white HEPA is better is the absolute opposite of the functional truth.
So the white is failure and the black is success.
That's what they claim.
Okay, we have to dig into that. I mean, how is that even possible? What's going on with the HEPA's deceptive white color? How can it stay clean after a week in a real lived-in space?
So that white, the source is really clear on this, is not a sign of cleanliness. It's a sign of complete suffocation. The word they use is clogging.
Clogging. But in just 7 days, for a high-grade filter, that seems incredibly fast.
It does, but it comes down to the sheer volume and the variety of what's floating around indoors.
Yeah.
In that short time, those tiny little micropores in the HEPA material get totally saturated.
And not just with dust bunnies.
No, not at all. We're talking fine microparticles, pollen, hair, and maybe most importantly, aerosol condensates.
The sticky stuff.
The sticky stuff, exactly. Microscopic oils from cooking, from us. They get in there and they physically block every single pore.
Okay, so the filter is basically a solid block of trapped gunk. But why isn't it gray or black then, if it's full of dirt?
Because the clogging is so dense and it happens right at the surface, nothing can penetrate deeper. But more importantly, once it's clogged, it fundamentally changes the fluid dynamics of the whole machine.
What do you mean by that? Why do they call clogging the fatal flaw of all HEPA systems?
Okay, so imagine trying to blow air through a brick.
You can't.
Right? Air is lazy. As the filter clogs up, the resistance skyrockets. The fan is still trying to push, but it can't push the air through that solid wall of gunk anymore.
So the air has to find somewhere else to go.
It has to. It finds the path of least resistance, tiny gaps around the filter, seals any little crack in the housing. The air goes around.
It bypasses the filter completely.
Completely. And that unfiltered polluted air is then just blown right back into your room by the fan.
Wow. And that explains the drop in performance you feel. The airflow gets weaker, the machine might get louder. It's the fan fighting a losing battle against a wall.
And providing zero actual purification. The filter looks clean because nothing new can even stick to its perfectly sealed off surface. Its ability to clean the air has dropped to zero. That's the fatal flaw.
So the white is the color of surrender. Okay, let's flip to the Challenger. If HEPA's white means it's clogged and useless, what does the maize cotton's gray-black appearance tell us?
That black appearance is evidence that it's still working. It's what the source calls the mark of guardianship.
Because the mechanism is totally different.
Fundamentally different. It's not passive straining, it's active attraction.
So how does that active attraction keep it working even when it looks so dirty?
The maize electrostatic cotton layer, it uses an active charge to pull in, condense, and basically lock onto those microparticles. So instead of forcing air through a superfine mesh, it's like a magnetic web that pulls the charged particles out of the airflow.
So the black we see is literally the pollution it has caught and is holding onto with an electrical force.
Yes. And because it's not trying to mechanically sieve the airflow itself isn't blocked. Air can still move easily through that less dense maize-like material, even as it gets darker.
So the black is just proof it caught the bad guy.
The source puts it very simply. The black is the evidence that it caught the mouse.
But hold on, if it gets that dark in just 7 days, doesn't that mean it's going to fill up even faster than the HEPA? Isn't black just delayed failure?
That's the key distinction. The HEPA failure is a complete stop. It's a functional shutdown because of the physical blockage. The electrostatic cotton's blackness shows accumulation, yes, but its effectiveness continues because the air pathway isn't sealed off. It's still absorbing particles. Its dirty appearance is a sign of work in progress, not a dead end.
Okay, so if we zoom out to the big picture, the sustainability of performance, what was the final verdict of the 7-day trial when you compare how they held up?
Well, the final comparison is really what seals the deal in this experiment.
Let's lay it out. The HEPA's final status.
The HEPA looked clean and white, sure, but its airflow had suffered massive attenuation. A huge loss of power. And more importantly, because of the bypass, it had completely stopped intercepting particles. Its purification capacity was basically flatlining.
And the maize electrostatic cotton?
It looked black and dirty because it had captured a ton of material. But, and this is the critical part, its airflow remained stable, and its purification process continued without a problem. It was still actively working at the end of the 7 days.
This feels like more than just a product test. The source actually calls this a civilizational divide. That's a strong phrase.
It is, but you can see their point. They see one side representing what they call false purification, the clean, white, high-tech looking HEPA system that fails fast. And the other side is the genuine non-toxic defense, which keeps working, even if it doesn't look as pretty.
It's a battle between marketing aesthetics, white equals pure, and actual rugged performance, where dirty means it's doing its job. We're just conditioned to see white as better, even when it's hiding a total failure.
The motto the source uses just perfectly sums it all up. HEPA's white is the symbol of failure, and the electrostatic cotton's black is the mark of guardianship. 1 week, they say, tells life and death.
And that's really the core lesson, isn't it? This counterintuitive idea that in air purification, the evidence of hard work, the black, heavy filter, we mistake for being broken, while the evidence of functional failure, that pristine white filter, we mistake for being clean and effective.
The real power of this trial is in its simplicity. It's encouraging you, the listener, to actually challenge the assumptions built into the products you buy to protect yourself. You don't always need fancy gear. Sometimes you just need a side-by-side comparison and to trust your own eyes.
The source is confident that your eyes are enough for this judgment. And it brings up a much bigger question, one that goes way beyond air purifiers. This story is really about any system that presents a clean, perfect face while it's actually failing underneath. So what other systems in your daily life, systems designed for your safety or well-being, might be showing you a misleading clean surface, a perfect white appearance, while secretly failing right under your nose? Something for you to think about.
It's a powerful thought, questioning the very aesthetic of protection.
Absolutely. That's all for this deep dive. We hope it gave you something to chew on. We'll see you next time.
Air 8 Free Maize Purifier. The world's first single-pass purifier. Combining ionization, electrostatics, and airflow maize. The machine replaces humans. To absorb and destroy every toxin, air enters the ion zone. Viruses and dust gain negative charge. They pass electrostatic filters. Then enter the toxbox maze. Aerosols dry on electrode walls, breaking down into CO2 and water. Inside the maze, air twists and strikes over 60 times. Each turn ends a toxin's life. Billions of particles in 0.1 second are fully purified. It releases Earth's purest air. The superheaven air quality. 8-free, dust-free, germ-free, toxin-free. Smoke-free, odor-free, heavy metal-free. Microplastic-free, aerosol-free. Not just an air machine. The only key to lifespan freedom. U.S. Patent No. 8268058B2.